have chosen to test this station's destructive power on your home planet of Alderaan. Then name the system.
Wookiee religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blast. Like we're coming up on Alderaan.
You may fire when ready.
Welcome to Alderaan Explosions Network's official countdown to Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. It's 42 days until release. My name is Dylan Blight, your Jedi Master, and joining me, my Padawans, Ashley Hobley.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here to talk about Crazy Old Men and a time before paternity tests.
Yep, sure. And Ciaran Marchant.
Hi. Hey, how is everyone today?
I'm very good. We're about to hit a month. We're in November.
Oh, shit.
You know? Like
It's November. That's a thing.
It's 42 days until release, as I just said.
Oh.
So it's exciting times.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
Got tickets booked.
Definitely.
Yeah, I got tickets. Do you have tickets? We didn't really discuss this, I guess. Ciaran, do you have
I do
did you
not have
book
my tickets yet. I have not booked tickets yet. I probably should. It's probably a thing that should be done.
You going midnight?
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
No, as if not going midnight. That's
I love how living in Shep means that midnight release you can wait to book it until fucking 3 weeks after the tickets go up. Nah, it'll be right.
No, it'll be fine.
No one's going.
Yeah. They've
Just
all got to
me,
go to
Bob,
sleep,
Rick,
go normal
me,
jobs.
Bobby, Rico. Yeah. Just rocking up to the midnight release, it'll be fine. Yeah. So I've got midnight, you got midnight.
Yep.
Everyone's got midnight. Very good. I'm going down to Hobart, as is my tradition for my midnight release.
I don't envy you. That drive to Hobart is garbage.
I like how Ciaran knows what it's
garbage.
like now.
I now understand it, and it's so bad. Like, you look at it, I'm just like, it's a drive to Melbourne. Like, I drove to Melbourne this morning and back.
It's about the same length. It's about the same length.
Yeah, it's that road's so bad.
Well, yeah, because they've been doing roadworks on it since I was like 10, and they still haven't finished it. So that's the drive.
It's hard to get all the supplies to Tasmania. So.
It's the most like indecisive road in there because it's like you'll have like 500 meters of dual lane, and then you'll have and then you'll have a kilometer of single lane, and then it'll go back to dual lane, and you're like, just fucking decide what you want to be. This is the Star Wars content that people really want.
I don't think I was going to go because I'm like, I guess some people were like, why would you drive 2 hours to go to a midnight release and stuff? I'm like, I did it for The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, so I'm kind of
it's tradition.
Locked into doing it. At this point, it's definitely a tradition. Rogue One I didn't do it for, and Solo I didn't do it for, but for
did either of those have a midnight release?
I went to a midnight release. So I don't think Solo did for any cinemas down here, at least that I knew of. But Rogue One did have a midnight release. I just didn't bother going to Hobart for it. I was happy to do it locally for that one.
Lonnie.
Yeah, Lonnie. But the good thing is it just turns the Star Wars, like for these three films, the trilogy. It means that I've turned every single one into like an event. You know, it wasn't like, I'll leave my house, go down the road, watch the movie, come home. It's like, no, go somewhere, hotel, overnight. It's like a full holiday. I mean, it's only one night. And it's also really weird to book the hotel for because I always get really confused because I'm like, it's 12:01 a.m., but I'm staying like,
the night
I'm not
before,
staying that night. I'm booking for the night before. You know what I mean? Like, it's could accidentally book the whole thing incorrectly, but yeah. So this week on the show, other than talking about the horrible road from Launceston to Hobart and booking midnight tickets, we're going to be talking about The Empire Strikes Back, of course, which we watched this week, and then going over our thoughts about The Mandalorian ahead of its debut for the US next week. I think it's coming out in some other places, Disney Plus, November 12th or whatever, but we don't get it then. So jumping into Empire Strikes Back first, though.
A galactic odyssey against oppression. A big, new, sprawling space adventure in the
Ash,
Star Wars
as
saga.
always, when was the last time you watched Empire Strikes Back, and how do you feel about it after this most recent rewatch?
I watched it 2 years ago to catch up for the episode that I wasn't on last time.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Buddy Watson was on it for the thing, wasn't he?
Yeah, so now I can happily say that this is a terrible movie.
Oh. Oh.
No, this is obviously a great movie. Just the thing I appreciated, especially watching A New Hope last week, was this just kicks off straight away, which is more like straight out of the gate. Tonson gets murdered by a Wampa. You know, straight into the action. And I think now also rewatching it recently, you can see some sort of ties to The Last Jedi. There's like certain things that sort of similarities. You know, Luke training with a crazy old guy is sort of similar to Rey training with a crazy old guy. They're showing up in this weird city for a small period of time is similar to them showing up in this weird city in The Last Jedi, that kind of thing. And then the timeline, I think, is also it's very short. Like it only takes over like maybe a day or two. I think the entire film.
The timeline is
it's not.
I think there's no.
You could clarify.
I think
you could think it
could be
very
longer,
short.
but you just don't know how long it takes for Luke to go to Dagobah and for
How
Luke
long
to
they're
travel
hiding in
back
that
from
astral
Dagobah, and how long it took them to get to the Cloud City. I think there's a lot of traveling that's done off screen that you don't know. how long
Same
it
thing
takes.
with The Last Jedi. They go traveling to that city. You don't know how long they're going for.
No,
how
but
long
you do
Rey's
know
in.
that happens. That seems to all happen in a very short time span, though.
Yeah,
'Cause
there's a big couple things with this one that are different to Last Jedi. When they travel to Cloud City, remember their hyperdrive's broken, so how they had to fly there directly, basically just floating through space, which explains how the Empire manages to beat them there, because once Boba Fett figures out what planet they're headed towards, he obviously informs the Empire, and then they're able to just go through hyperspace to get there ahead of them. That's how they explain that.
In The Last Jedi, they could figure that out. They could have traveled in front of them.
Hyperspace.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't travel. The very
But isn't it explained that they developed the technology later? Like they only had,
not
No,
that.
I think in The Last
I
Jedi,
think
they
you
were
mean
just being cocky.
yeah, they can't. You can't to be able to hyperdrive jump a ship like literally 100 kilometers just in front of you, for instance, would be basically impossible, like coordinates wise. Like that's very hard, I guess, is the way they try and get around that. If you're saying why don't they just jump the ship in front of them? Also, Leia's hyperdrive is out, is what they explain, and then they also
Another similarity.
They explain that the First Order tracks their hyperdrive through the hyperdrive space or whatever, which they snuck into Rogue One. And then the other point of time that they never actually explain is once they get to Cloud City, you don't know if they've been there for like 12 hours or several days before shit goes haywire. Because like they get there, they all say hi, whatever, and then the next scene you see of them is Leia in a room, like her clothes are changed and whatever else, and then she's just like complaining. She's like, "Oh, I'm sick of being here." But it's like, okay, are you sick of being here because you've been here for 12 hours, 24 hours, a week? You know what I mean? Like you have
There's
no
idea of the timeline, but it just feels like it could potentially be very short.
Yeah, the first half of the movie is very obviously takes place all kind of fast. You know, it's like starts Hoth, okay, Luke's disappeared. You literally see one night pass because they make a whole deal about closing the gates and so on, and then Han goes out looking for him the following morning. So that's very easy to keep track of time-wise. Then the attack comes down, they do the whole battle, and then everyone pisses off. From that point onwards, I mean, the Millennium Falcon could have been like trying to outpace the Empire, Darth Vader, in that asteroid field for even days, for all you know. You have no idea.
Maybe.
They could have been on that asteroid hiding down there trying to fix the Falcon for a week. I don't know. Like
they could have been chasing him for like a few days.
Yeah, they could have
Last
been.
Jedi,
That's what I'm saying. The timeline's so confusing. I like to think that the timeline, in my mind, I think the timeline has to be at least a decent length of time to have Luke's training mean anything. Like if someone comes out and they're going to be like, oh, well, it's probably only like 2-3 days. I'm like, are you going to tell me that train for 2-3 days? Now, the thing that they have said in canon that tries to explain the time, as far as I'm aware, in anything they've never officially said this movie takes place over this amount of time. I don't think that's ever been said. What they have said in canon, though, is that, and this goes into some weird magic Star Wars type shit, which people don't like hearing about sometimes, but they have said that Dagobah and other really mystical, force-filled places run at a different time. Yes.
Yeah. Interstellar.
The comparison I think that everyone, whenever I've read Reddit theories about this and stuff, I can't remember what canon book it popped up in, but everyone always compares it to Dragon Ball Z because
in the hyperspace, in the time chambers.
Hyperbolic time chamber.
That's the one.
Everyone compares that. So it's like when Luke disappears to Dagobah to do his training, it's literally like when Goku and whoever else jumps into that to do their training, and they're gone for years, maybe, but on the outside, they've only been gone for, 12 hours or whatever. Similar sort of scenario.
Okay.
Could be what happens. Yeah. That's the only like in canon thing. That was a whole thing. I was like, how did we get here? And I just remember it was because you. How did you feel about the movie there? Ciaran,
also, dead Tauntaun, you get a dead Porg in The Last Jedi.
Shut the fuck up.
The comparisons are endless.
I don't want to hear your crap. Ciaran, when's the last time you watched this movie? How do you feel about this time?
I still love this movie. I think the last time I watched it was still the last time, like the original series of Alderaan Explosion. Because I feel like this is a weird one to watch on its own. Like I would have had to have watched New Hope and then been like, yeah, I want to jump into this one. Even though this by itself, this is a fantastic movie, it's not something that I would just randomly pick out. Whereas, say with another series, say Lord of the Rings, I would happily pick out Two Towers and watch Two Towers by itself. Because
Why? It's the worst one.
Two Towers is great. Two Towers is so good. Wow. What a jerk. But I still really enjoyed this movie. I think there is some really good parallels with overall storytelling, and I think everything else, like watching Clone Wars and watching the Lua movies or reading books, they just enhance the viewing experience of these movies now. I think looking at it and you look at it and you go, fuck, Yoda was really annoying. Like in just this one movie, if this is the only time we ever met Yoda, Yoda wouldn't be that well respected and liked because he's a bit of a douchebag. But I think as a whole, this movie just gets better because of everything else happening around it.
Yeah, I think I did watch this like a year ago when I was at my Nan and Pop's house or something, and it was on Ozstar, which I don't know if counts as a proper rewatch because everyone's talking, but like,
as long as you're
you've seen it before, you don't need to hear everything.
You weren't listening to everybody talking. You were just focusing on the Star Wars. Let's be honest.
Well, that's pretty much what happens anytime I'm at a family gathering because they're talking about sports and all sorts of shit I don't give a fuck about, and I'm like, what's on TV? Dylan, what have you been up to? You don't want to know. Do you want to hear my Star Wars theories, Nan and Pop? No, I didn't think so. All right, moving on. Sam is me alone.
I would just like to point out for any audio listeners, everybody's an audio listener. Nobody gets to watch this except for the three of us. Dylan is currently operating the podcast with a Kylo Ren action figure balanced on his microphone stand.
And I'm pretty happy that. Yeah. I'm pretty happy it hasn't fallen off yet, to be honest. So that's good because when it does, you'll just hear on the audio podcast me go, oh, fuck, and then like look around and give a look of no one say anything. All right, so let's jump into my notes for Empire Strikes Back then. So first thing I wrote down was Tauntauns sound like the reindeer from Santa Claus. And by Santa Claus, I mean the Tim Allen movies.
I figured.
Yeah. And I never really put this together until I watched it this time. I don't know why that is. I think it's because I actually rewatched Santa Claus last year for Christmas. And maybe, I know that was a while ago. It's obviously nearly 12 months ago, but it was fresh in my mind somewhat, I guess. And I was like, oh, it sounds like those reindeer. Particularly Santa Claus 3, which is where, I don't know if you don't remember the classic plot.
There's an individual reindeer that gets the spotlight.
Yes.
For
Rudolph.
Yeah.
Rudolph
is it's not Rudolph.
Oh no, it was
it's like some random reindeer they made up.
Yeah. But it's basically Rudolph because it's like he's like farting and shit, right?
Wait, how is him farting and shit Rudolph?
I don't know. I thought it was Rudolph for some reason because Rudolph is the ugly duckling basically.
Fucking hell.
Anyway, Tauntauns and Santa Claus are officially Star Wars universe connected to the Tim Allen Santa Claus trilogy. Also, one of the greatest franchises of all time.
Turns out reindeer actually Tauntaun. Descendants of
Huh?
Tauntauns.
There we go. Maybe. Never know.
Don't know why they were walking around this ice planet the whole time then. They could have been flying.
It's a long time ago. They evolved into reindeer, you know?
Oh, okay.
Long time ago
That
in a
makes
galaxy
sense.
far, far away. Evolve into reindeer. Second thing I wrote down was Luke would have been better off just stabbing the Wampa and then staying indoors.
Yes.
Because it's like it makes so I don't know. I never had this thought process until literally watching it this time for whatever reason. And that's the thing sometimes with rewatching movies heaps of times. Eventually your brain just clicks on the shit, I swear. When I'm watching it this time, I'm like, why don't you just kill it and stay indoors?
Nah, because clearly the Wampa's hideout's probably very well hidden. And so the chances of somebody being able to find him while he's in that cave is
But clearly he was better off in there than he was outside in the freezing cold.
But what if he never gets found in there?
Yeah, but he could have at
He
least
could've waited
waited till the
till
morning when
daylight.
the storm was over.
Nah, fuck it. Just peace out. Somebody's out there looking for him, probs.
I mean,
Surely he would have known anyway. Like he would have known procedure. He would have been like, "Oh, no one's looking for me now," because they would have had to all go home and sleep.
yeah, they would have closed the
Lock
doors
up.
and
Then
everything.
he's also like, yo, my homie Han, he'll come out and
Yeah,
look for me.
Han would have been fucked if that Luke hadn't popped out.
Yeah,
Han
if
would
he
have
had
been
just
looking
sat
around
there and waited,
forever.
Han would have
been-
died.
Yeah. He would have been looking around forever, and then he wouldn't have been able to. It was weird that he had to put like up a tent or something, it looked like, as the shelter when he finally found him. Like they didn't have some sort of fancy shelter pop-up thing.
No.
No.
Sometimes Star Wars technology is like seems really futuristic and cool, and other
Yeah.
times they just have
With
a
spaceships
half-assed
and
tent that you could get from Kmart.
Yeah.
You know, it's all over the place, really. The other thing said Han, I didn't write it down here, but because I think I brought this up last time, talked about it like on the first season. But Han in this movie is the worst. And I think this is one of the reasons I've never been super like Han Solo is a great character. I'm like, in this movie, he's just a sleazeball, and I don't really like him, to be honest. And I think if this movie came out today, you could not make that character that way because people would not go attached to that sort of character. Like he basically is hitting on Leia, old movie, being like, "You love it, baby, you love me," and then they have no chemistry. And then at the end of the movie, he's like, "Yeah, what's up? I love you. I know." Like it's. I just don't think
it's
it'll work.
that bad.
No. I think it's like a
No, there's
Shakespearean
it's
thing.
like-
Much Ado
It's
About
like
Nothing. That kind of-
scoundrel. It's a scoundrel, charming kind of rogue type character. Like, I don't think it's that bad and that sleazy. Like, yes, there's elements where you're like, "Come on, buddy," but most of it, I'm just like, he's just, you little scamp, you run along there with your freaking little flirtatious.
I think it's just the one scene like at the start where he like gets really close to Leia like uncomfortably and like pushes like kind of stops her from leaving. Like he puts his arm up against the door and like gets real close to her. He's like, "Where you going, princess?" And like all that sort of stuff. I'm like, can you just calm the fuck down? We'll take you out for workplace misconduct in a second.
But that's the type of character he just is. I don't know if it's workplace misconduct.
You don't know what. No, I'm not going to. You don't know what she was saying or doing before. That sounds terrible now.
I probably just don't like the. I don't think the scoundrel type character. It's probably just my personal preference or whatever. I'm not saying he's like doing anything that's like super creepy, but he just comes across as an asshole. Like if I saw someone doing this IRL, like acting like him, I like at a bar or something, trying to like hit on a girl the way he does he tries to hit on Leia, I would like look across and be like, that guy's a bit of a fucking dick. Like, you know, like just a certain type of character he is. And it's the most prominent in this movie because this movie really is like where they obviously they set those two up, and then next movie it's like, well, he doesn't show up until halfway, and then they're together from that point on. And he's a lot better, I guess, but
He doesn't show up till halfway. It's not like that was his choice not to show up till halfway.
Yeah.
a bit late to the party.
He was frozen in carbonite.
What an ass. This just another quick tangent. So the Star Wars comics that they've been doing since they rebooted, since Disney rebooted the comics and stuff, like the mainline comic that's simply called Star Wars, that has been set between episode 4 and episode 5, and it's about to finish it at like issue 70 something, I think, is like what it's going to wrap up, right? And then they're rebooting it later this month or next month or something, or maybe it's at the start of next year. I can't remember. But either way, they're doing the whole thing where they're just going to reboot it and it'll start from issue 1 again, and then now going to be setting it between episode 5 and episode 6 to like cover what happens between there, and then they can do a lot of like obviously how they go about planning to save Han, I guess, like tracking down people to find out where Han is. You know, they can do all these sorts of storylines. But the thing that's going to be interesting about that comic is no Han in that whole comic book. Obviously,
there could be.
No, Lando's going to be in it as his
Han
replacement,
could be in the
I
comic
guess.
book. Yeah.
What, they cut to him and he's just sitting there like
Yeah, that'd be great.
every
It's
6
like,
panels.
just like an episode, a comic book set in Jabba's palace where Han's just there and like events are happening around him.
Just like the story of Han Solo, and it's just about his, how was his adventure from the Cloud City to Jabba's palace? Like, I don't think it was just a straight line there and back. Maybe there is an untold story. Maybe there's an untold story that he got unfroze from carbonite and then refroze again under different circumstances. Who knows?
I mean, it's possible, but I'm going to put it out there right now that I'm not a big fan of that idea.
Up until recently, we thought Obi-Wan never left Tatooine. Like,
which doesn't make confirmed. Like that's theorizing. We're presuming. I'm saying that he's going to leave, but I mean, we don't no official confirmation he ever left Tatooine. So, but yeah, so I thought that comic book. That was another thing I was thinking about while watching this, especially as I approached the end of the movie. I was like, man, that comic book series, because I presume they're going to run it for like a couple of years like they did with this run, but I was like, it'll be weird to have the mainline Star Wars comic without Han in it, and like Lando is going to be bumming around in the Falcon, I guess, and
without that
else.
asshole character Han Solo.
You know who else is an asshole? Lando. They're all assholes. I know that's the character type, but you're like, but Dylan, they're not assholes, they're scoundrels. Same word. Same difference.
To be
Whatever.
fair,
They're
scoundrel's
both
just a
assholes.
nice way of saying asshole.
Yeah. They're both assholes. In this, I'm like, Lando, asshole. Han,
But they're supposed to
arsehole.
be assholes.
It doesn't mean I have to like it.
They're... Yeah, but it's like being shocked that Darth Vader did something bad. It's like, yeah, of course he did. He's the bad guy.
I guess. What was the next thing I wrote down here? I wrote down, it's funny how they have Obi-Wan show up so early here. I feel like these days big reveals like that wouldn't happen so early. Because it's like, so we're saying for the Rise of Skywalker that we're probably going to see Force Ghosts, right? Well, we know. We're probably 99.9% we see Luke Skywalker Force Ghost show up, right? Among possibly Yoda, Obi-Wan, fucking Anakin could show up for all we know. Like there's probably going to be Force Ghosts in this movie. But whenever they show up, they're probably going to show up in like the last quarter to the end of the movie or something. But in this movie, you have a Force Ghost show up. This is the first time a Force Ghost has shown up too, and they introduced that 20 minutes in or whatever, 15 minutes in.
Yeah.
I'll be highly surprised if I start watching The Rise of Skywalker and 15 minutes into that movie, we have
Luke show up.
Luke or anything like that. Because they're like, nah, it's too early in the movie to have a like cool audience reaction moment like that. I just feel like that's a different, it's like a sign of a different time.
Maybe they know that you think that, so they know that you
They're
know
going
that
to start
they
the
know.
movie with Luke as a Force Ghost.
Boom.
They're
One
going
way
to
to do
start
it.
the film with Anakin Skywalker as a Force Ghost talking to Kylo Ren. It's going to be Hayden Christensen, but in old person makeup. I lost you at the end.
Well,
of
technically, didn't they? No. He doesn't have to be an old person makeup though. He can just
He
be the
should
same
be, though.
age. Because they digitally replaced
He
the
should be.
random actor that was Anakin Skywalker with Hayden Christensen from Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. Well, it's like if they have Obi-Wan show up, it's not going to be some.
It's not going to be Nigel
like-
McGuinness. It's going to be Ewan McGregor.
Yeah. It's not going to be like, or even like aged up Ewan McGregor. It'll just be like, here's Ewan McGregor.
Even though we all know that like
Do-
Obi-Wan has like the worst aging of like anybody in the history of anything. Like he's just
from
couple
age,
years.
I mean,
he hits 40, looks like Ewan McGregor. 42, McGuinness. Somehow, I don't know. Like,
I don't know. They've got Disney have got the money. They can go back and re-edit Ewan McGregor into those films.
That is never going to happen.
That it might be an improvement.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
At least it would explain freaking Hayden Christensen at the end of Return of the Jedi.
I don't. No, look, the easiest explanation is because he turns into a Force ghost, which is a light, like Jedi power, that his image reverts to the last time he was good. Although technically, the last time he's good is technically when he throws the Emperor, like, overboard. Like, that's him doing a good move. But I think that's how most people try to explain it in their heads. There he goes. Kylo Ren fell off.
Well, let's talk of Force ghosts. Moved him.
Kylo's like, fuck you, Uncle Luke.
He got
said
offended
that
that
you did a good thing. No, Darth Vader never did good things.
He's like, peace out. And what do I write down next? The quote. So this part in Empire, because I haven't watched it since Solo came out, where Han's saying to C-3PO and he says, I need you to talk to the Falcon, find out what's wrong with the hyperdrive, which of course, now that you're watching it this time post Solo, you're like, needs to talk to L3 because L3 is the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Connections, retcons. Yeah. I mean, it didn't add much.
It's
to the
not
movie,
really. It's not really a retcon. It's just
adds something.
adjustment to what the line means.
Yeah, but it also meant that, different thought process when I was watching it. It was like, he means actually talk to the Falcon, not like figuratively talk to the machine that is the Falcon or something like that. Actually talk to the Falcon because it's L3. And then to play on basically what Ciaran was saying before, I then wrote down, Yoda is a fine line away from being a Jar Jar and no one wants to say it. And I honestly feel this way, like everyone spits it, Jar Jar, ridiculous character, blah, 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 blah. Yoda isn't Jar Jar, obviously, or else everyone would probably say that. But I swear that Yoda is pretty close to like Yoda is getting pretty close to what George ended up doing with Jar Jar as far as it comes to being a silly cartoon character. This is a hot take, I feel.
I think Yoda is more of a troll, whereas Jar Jar is more of an idiot. Savant.
I guess, but he's just so annoying at the start.
Is he doing?
That's supposed to be.
Is it because I've seen Yoda in a bunch of other things that I'm like, it's fun to see Yoda be a dick and fuck around with Luke?
I mean, maybe, but yeah, like I understand he's doing that on purpose, or whatever the fuck with Luke or whatever.
Or you said, he's been on this Dagobah planet, which is times all different. He's potentially been living centuries on that planet.
Yeah, well, he says he's like
gone crazy.
900 and whatever, and so we need the Yoda spin-off Disney Plus series where it's just him fucking smoking doobies and talking
just
to
him
himself.
on Dagobah, just trying to figure out something. I don't know.
Yeah, having a great
and
old
then
time.
slowly losing his mind.
Yeah,
there's got to be some movie where someone slowly loses their mind.
Yeah.
Nothing springs to mind. But.
There's spoilers to say because it's usually a twist at the end, but it's like revealed at the end the characters actually lost their mind. Spoil. The other recent thing to bring up when it comes to Dagobah, I thought as well is, I can't remember which exact comic book it was. Oh, it was like a Forces of whatever, Kylo Ren issue, something like that. It's one of the comics that have been putting up in the lead out to The Rise of Skywalker. They had this issue where Snoke took Kylo to Dagobah. And then Snoke sends Kylo into the caves, much like Yoda does with Luke, and says, go in there and face what you need to do. And then inside he faces both Leia and Han. Obviously his biggest hurdles that he's trying to overcome is being able to destroy or walk away or whatever, turn away from his family. That's the thing he's most scared of, I guess, because obviously Luke sees himself as Vader. That's what he's scared of. And Kylo sees his parents. But Kylo where Luke strikes down Vader and then he reveals himself, Kylo sees his parents and then doesn't actually strike them down. Instead, he literally just explodes the entire cave with his, like, he gets so angry he just blows up the entire Dagobah cave and then like walks out, and then Snoke asks him if he did it, and then he just says he did and lies to Snoke, and then Snoke just makes a sly little remark about how he was going to use that cave to bring some other people there, but never mind then, or something along something along those lines. So yeah, what happened to the Dagobah cave? Kylo Ren blew that shit up out of a fit of anger, because that's what he does. He destroys things in fits of anger. I don't know.
Maybe the Dagobah cave rebuilt itself like Darth Vader's mask or his helmet. That's the one. Kylo Ren's helmet.
Well, don't know if that's a thing. And then I said I had to mention it because it comes up here. So at Star Wars Celebration last year, among many of the projects and stuff they announced there, they announced this project called Project Luminous. And at the time, obviously, everyone was like, so that's obviously in reference to the line that Yoda says in Empire, where he says, "Luminous beings are we, blah, 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 blah." So just to kind of cover what it is, because I think next year it'll be potentially the biggest Star Wars like crossover comic, whatever event that we've had so far. And on the Star Wars blog post they wrote, Lucasfilm Publishing creative director Michael Siglain offered a glimpse into future Star Wars books and comics at New York Comic Con, and it has us more excited than an Ewok on a speed up. Like, hosting a panel that included some of the biggest Star Wars authors and comic book writers in our galaxy, Siglain revealed new titles and significantly teased mysterious Project Luminous. While little is known about Project Luminous, Siglain has showed us a slide that stated, "The Force is what gives the Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things until Project Luminous 2020." He also confirmed the involvement of 5 All-Star authors: Claudia Gray, Justin Ireland, Daniel Jose Older, Cavan Scott, and Charles Soule. And then at the bottom of the poster, the most important thing is that it is a cross collaboration between Disney Lucasfilm Press, Del Rey, IDW Publishing, and Marvel. So, and why that's a big deal is because, you know, like Del Rey publishes some of the Star Wars books and they're over here, and they get some people, their own authors, whatever. IDW, of course, like comic publishing thing over here. Marvel over here, comics, obviously. And then Disney Lucasfilm Publishing, they publish some of their own stuff directly, like particularly some of the more younger age kid stuff. So presumably this is going to be some massive cross collaboration between a whole bunch of the most loved Star Wars writers. Claudia Gray's wrote the best Star Wars books, in my opinion, including one of the best, which is Lost Stars. Daniel Jose Older did the Solo book, for instance. Cavan Scott just did the Dooku audio novel thing is what he wrote, and he writes a bunch of the younger kid stuff. Charles Soule is the person who wrote all the Darth Vader comic books and these sorts of things. So it's like, it's going to be this massive crossover event, and it's set obviously post Rise of Skywalker world. And with the Project Luminous in the name, it makes you think that it's obviously going to be something to do with the Force, the Jedi, or something. But at least like the Force, I think, is probably the go-to thing. So I'm super excited because, yeah, the Force is what gives the Jedi his powers, blah, 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 blah. If they're going to do a novel / comic book / audio book / like literally everything, and it's one big like several year or even a year-long event that's exploring like potentially a bunch of Jedi stories or something like that, or even like some weird Force mystical thing. It'll be the biggest Star Wars extended universe like crossover event that we've actually had so far, because although sometimes they do like comic crossover events and like the books and everything will mention comics or whatever, we've never had something that's like, read this book and then this comic book's like set after that, and then this thing's like set after, you know, like a big like cross event thing. We've never had that before, so I think it's like super exciting.
Would you be interested in like the beginnings of the Force, like the beginnings of how the Force was properly discovered and like the first people that used the Force? And
I mean,
does that sound like an interesting concept to you?
It does. Are you going to make a joke about the D&D thing?
What?
What?
Because apparently the D&D series was going to be the origins of the Jedi or something along those lines.
What?
Oh, really? I did
What
not know
a
this.
revelation.
I
did not know that.
Smart ass Ashley over here in the fucking corner. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so that's apparently what their thing was going to be. But like, I think you could separate them. You could do potentially something that explores. Because who's to say that the first people who were Force beings or Force users or just like whatever, like the Adam and Eve of the Star Wars universe, I don't know. No one's to say that they were Jedi. You know what I mean? I don't know. Most like if I had to put a bet on it, I'd presume that it's probably just going to be some massive event that tells a whole bunch of stories about different Jedi across like different time periods and so on and so forth. And maybe they even tease stuff closer to like the old Republic era, which is the era that everyone wants to touch, obviously. Not like super go into it, because I still think they're going to save that for either a movie series or a TV series or something. That's definitely not going to be a book or a comic, because that's something that mainstream audiences will be. You could turn that into a movie and make heaps of money off. But they could tease and like start setting up that, like what that looks like to get people interested. So either way, that's something that's really exciting for next year. I was only going to write up a thing because I saw someone the other day be like, what do we do? Like after the Rise of Skywalker's out, it's like Star Wars is dead again. I'm like, what are you fucking on about? Star Wars is dead again. I'm like, I'm fucking super pumped for like, there's fucking TV shows and books and comic books and, you know, like Star Wars is dead again. I'm like, if you only care about the movies, I guess it's dead. Like
If it's in hibernation.
Yeah, it's in hibernation, then sure. But it's like, there's literally all these TV shows and all these books and comics and audio books and whatever the hell else they're going to be doing. I'm like, Star Wars is dead. I'm like, potentially Star Wars is going to be the most interesting actually from next year than it's been since 2014, you know? Because we're kind of back to like, well, what's next? And they can start like teasing and setting up stuff. Because of course in the lead up to The Force Awakens was like, what's it even look like? I remember sitting in the theater for the first time Force Awakens and just being like, the thing I was most excited about learning was, what is the state of Star Wars under Disney? Like, what's this movie going to be like? What do we even set up? Not just the characters or everything, but just like, what is the future of this brand kind of thing? You know what I mean? So now it's like post Rise of Skywalker, it's like, what is the state of Star Wars? And the state of Star Wars is going to be, presumably, The Mandalorian does a shit ton of money. We'll get to that in a second. Does really well. And then the state of Star Wars is, let's greenlight about 10 different
Everything.
Star Wars TV shows. Yeah. that's kind of what I presume is going to
Let's
happen.
do the Cantina Band TV show.
Yeah, well, maybe. Let's do a musical set in the
And Dylan
cantina.
walks into the producer's office with a whole bunch of ideas. He's like strategically placed the Ahsoka idea like 3 or 4 in so they get to it. Like
We're going to get some...
I know, that idea keeps coming up. Isn't Brie Larson apparently
Oh,
in
yeah, I saw
talks
that
or
rumor.
rumored to be?
That was some rumor. I don't know who that rumor came from, but
Probably Brie
I
Larson.
didn't... Maybe. She leaked it herself. Like, I heard that someone wants me to play... talks to play... She
Did
puts
I say
a
me?
wig
I
on.
meant Brie.
Yeah, I meant Brie, not
I
me.
said Brie.
Okay, so Empire Strikes Back. Any last thoughts or things that you noticed while watching it? Kind of.
Can I say this is down to the writing of character relationships in this movie and in the next movie, technically, but like everything with Lando is like the biggest non-issue in the world. Like,
What do you mean?
he betrays them kind of and sells them out,
Yeah.
and
Not
then
kinda. He does.
he does. He sells them out, and then the next
For
movie
his
they're
people,
like,
the thousands of people under his care.
yeah, but at the same time, he sells them out, and then next movie they're like, don't worry, Skimp. Good on you, buddy.
He helped them escape, so it's all good.
Ruffle his hair.
Everybody makes
you bloody
mistakes.
Lando. Bloody Lando betraying us and then helping to save us again.
Yeah. Such a Lando move.
Yeah.
So that's Lando.
Do you
Ash, did you
reckon?
have any-
So is Darth Vader toying with Luke the entire time, and not using like his full lightsaber capabilities?
Well, he's not trying to kill him, so yeah.
Yeah.
He's trying to turn
Even
him
though
at
it cuts
this
his arm
stage.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know,
You know,
It's a Flashwind.
Anakin was like, "What?"
guess.
Darth Vader was like, "All right, what led me to the dark side?" The first step was losing my arm.
yeah.
Yeah,
You know, yep.
and it's true.
Okay, is carbonite freezing a commonplace thing? Because it seems like it's still in the testing phase when they put Han.
No, they don't use. It's not normally used on humans though. It's normally used for other things.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
Is
we'll
what I
touch
get
on this
from
in a
it.
bit.
Yeah, I was about to say you can. Yeah, that's. I don't know what they use it for freezing, like other stuff, like animals and shit, I guess. But yeah, it's like not meant to be used for humans, but it manages to keep him alive. So technically, Darth Vader helps invent a new technology for bounty hunting. I think
Yeah,
in this movie,
innovator.
innovator, really. All right, so the big question for Empire Strikes
How
Back.
lucky was it though that Luke fell down that air vent? Like when
He
he jumps
knew
out.
what he was doing. That wasn't
No.
luck. He looked down. He was like, "Nah, I see what's happening."
What are the odds that he'll wouldn't smash like onto a flat surface and break his back and die?
No,
He just
realistically, he
happened
would
to
have.
hit it at right angle to slide down.
But
I
Ash,
don't think-
he
I just
used
think-
the Force.
I just think
guess.
he's lucky to have hung on to that little fucking antenna thing at the bottom for so long. You know, like
Yeah.
the Millennium Falcon couldn't have just been like instantly there. He had to have been waiting there for a while.
I mean, it,
No, he
it
would've- he
seems
would've
strong
been there
enough, I
for-
guess.
Yeah, no, he would have been there
You
for
know,
quite
with
some time.
one arm.
With one arm. Oh, one arm leak.
Yeah.
Ash,
Talk your legs around.
where are you gonna your current rankings of one Ashley Hobley are episode 2. Oh no, I'm changing it. I keep saying this. I gotta say the actual names because I've wrote the other ones' name. Ash's current rankings are Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace, A New Hope, Revenge of the Sith, Solo, and Rogue One. And he wants to put Empire Strikes Back.
Currently at number 4. So the best one so far.
The best one so far. Dun, dun, dun. All right, Ciaran. Where would you hold on? Ciaran's current rankings are Attack of the Clones, The Phantom Menace, Solo, A New Hope, Revenge of the Sith, Rogue One. Where would you like to put this?
At number 5 for me, please.
So you want to put Rogue One still as number 1?
Yes.
And
please.
you're going to put Empire here. My current rankings are Attack of the Clones, Solo, The Phantom Menace, A New Hope, Revenge of the Sith, and Rogue One. And Ciaran looks really scared. I just glimpsed Ciaran out of the side.
I'm just
and I'm
bracing myself.
Ciaran looks scared. All right. I'm going to put this at. Now, we mentioned this last time where you could see where I was hovering my mouth and that gave where I was going to put it. So now I'm just kind of moving the mouth just moving the mouse around. Like, where's it going to go? Where's it going to go? Oh, no. I'm placing Empire Strikes Back at number, what would it be? So if they go, I'm placing it at number 6.
You had it at number 8, and I was like, holy shit.
So that means I'm moving Rogue One currently up to the top position, Revenge of the Sith to my second position, and Empire fits in at 3rd, just above A New Hope. Honestly, if a year ago, no, not a year ago, probably 2 years ago, I would have had Empire a number like probably above these, or maybe when Rogue One dropped, I probably still would have put it above it because like Rogue One was fresh. And then maybe after even a year after Rogue One's release, I probably would have like had Rogue One, and I would have probably put Empire after this. And it's only over the last like year or so that I've kind of just been more willing to just be like, you know what, fuck it. I really like Revenge of the Sith, and I don't give a fuck what anyone says anymore. And I'm just willing to just keep owning my carrying that movie along, carrying it on up here. Yeah, so once again, rankings go over real quickly. My rankings are Attack of the Clones, Solo, The Phantom Menace, New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith, Rogue One. Ash's are Attack of the Clones, The Phantom Menace, A New Hope, Revenge of the Sith, Solo, Rogue One, The Empire Strikes Back, and Ciaran's are Attack of the Clones, The Phantom Menace, Solo, A New Hope, Revenge of the Sith, Empire Strikes Back, and Rogue One. So I think currently we can say that Rogue One is the overall current leader as well, by the way.
2-1,
But
yeah.
we're not done yet. That's that out of the way. Let's jump into talking about some Mandalorian. So although this podcast is a countdown till The Rise of Skywalker, there's a whole heap of other Star Wars stuff coming out before that comes out. So we'll do our best to kind of jump them in at certain episodes here. And I thought like this would be the good episode to talk about The Mandalorian because it launches next week in the US and Canada, probably, I don't know, like other places like that. November 12th is when Disney Plus launches in those places. Us Australians and New Zealanders, I believe, same time, have to wait until the 19th for it to launch here. So although it's annoying that it's later, like a week later, I'm still trying not to get too annoyed because I'm just trying to find the silver lining of at least it's only a week, you know, because there was a period of time where I was really scared that we weren't going to get Disney Plus until like next year. So I'm kind of just trying to be happy with what I've got.
There's some big places that still aren't getting Disney Plus
next year.
So.
No, exactly.
England.
Yeah, England
Suck
don't get
it.
next year. So yeah, I instead of getting too angry about it, I just keep trying to be like, I'll just be happy with what I've got. So the official description for The Mandalorian is: after the stories of Jango and Boba Fett, another warrior emerges in the Star Wars universe. The Mandalorian is set after the fall of the Empire and before the emergence of the First Order. We follow the travails of a lone gunfighter in the outer reaches of the galaxy, far from the authority of the New Republic. They dropped the latest trailer, when they dropped it, last week, basically, I guess, however that works out time-wise. And this is the last trailer until it releases. It had a bunch of footage that we'd kind of seen before, and a couple of bits of new things, but overall, I think that this most recent, which is called the official trailer 2, if you're looking for it, I think that this is easily the best trailer because it kind of sets up the tone for the series the best. It gives you your best look at The Mandalorian, and it is the only time, amazingly, in all of the promotional material that they've released for this so far, which isn't actually that much, that you hear The Mandalorian say anything, which I kind of think is funny, is that you can have all these trailers for a show and whatever else, and then the only time you hear the main character of a TV show ever say anything is 3-4 words? Yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, 4 words. So kind of crazy.
They said you were coming. They said you were the best in the parsec.
I want to give everyone, I'll start with you, and I want to get everyone's overall thoughts on this trailer, the series as a whole, and then what your current hype level is for this series.
I mean, it looks beautiful. It looks like a Star Wars movie quality wise. Again, in keeping with anything Star Wars at the moment, it tells you jack shit. We have no idea what the series is going to be other than the Mandalorian's in it, and he's going to kick some ass. And there's bounty hunters involved. And then, Pedro Pascal says 4 words or whatever, and it doesn't sound like Pedro Pascal. Which
You don't reckon it sounds like him?
I don't think so.
I think it sounds.
To me, though, everything I've seen him
obviously
in
muffled.
so far, he's had his accent, which he doesn't have in this.
I'm just skipping to the end of the trailer again now, so I can quickly hear it. Let's hear it. Hold on. Yeah, good. No, it sounds like it is. To me, it sounds like him. It's just obviously his voice is muffled because he's wearing a helmet. You know,
To
maybe
be fair,
that's the big
those aren't
difference.
exactly the best words to pick someone's voice from.
I guess. Also, it's pretty. I don't know. I still think it's pretty badass. His only line in any of the trailers is like where someone's like, "They're waiting for you, Mandalorian," and he's just like, "Yeah, good, yeah, cool, yeah, good. Send them on in." Ciaran.
This like screamed like a sci-fi western to me, and I was extremely excited for it. I think it looks really cool. I think the one thing that really excites me about this and about future Star Wars projects is to see more characters further developed that aren't directly associated with Jedis and the Sith. Just the couple shots of IG-88 fighting got me so hyped. Like, just like it never came to me just how he would function as a robot that would be so different to a normal gunslinger. Like, it was really cool to watch. So I'm really excited to see how that develops and to see what more this show brings to develop those characters.
I'll let you finish, but also Kanye had the best album this year, and it's IG-11. It's not actually 88.
Isn't it? I thought it was IG-88.
No. So it obviously is the exact same like model and whatever as IG-88, except for it's IG-11 and it's a character being voiced by Taika Waititi. Yeah.
Ah, that's okay.
So you're gonna have a New Zealand voice robot going, fucking die.
That's all. Well,
I don't think that's going to happen.
Maybe.
But no, I think overall the show really excites me, and I really like the parts of the Star Wars universe it's going to explore. And hopefully it explores Mandalore and more Mandalorian stuff, because that whole planet is fucking cool.
Yeah, so I agree. It's weird. I think it's interesting how they literally have two Star Wars. Like, you got this and Rise, and as Ash said, like, this, all the trailers and stuff, they gave away fuck all. And I find it more. I suppose with Rise of Skywalker, it makes more sense because it's like the finale of a trilogy, and it's like we don't need to say much about the story. People know the characters. You know, we'll sell the theme of the movie in the trailer, and then everyone will go see it. But it's like I honestly feel like the Mandalorian trailers would have been better suited to kind of being a little bit less secretive, because it is the first live action Star Wars TV show, and they do need to sell that a little bit more than Rise of Skywalker. You know what I mean? So I feel like the trailers should have done a bit better of a job of selling exactly what the story is for it. Because although I don't need that, I'm going to watch it either way. I just mean other people might need that to jump aboard.
Yep.
Especially when this is your flagship show for your streaming service.
You're launching. Yeah.
I think they're relying on the fact that the armor looks like Boba Fett and Jango Fett. Like, I think they're relying on you knowing some things that connect to it, or have something you can draw on to look at it, and that pulls you in to go and watch it.
I guess so, but it's I guess for quote unquote normal people, like, watching this is quite confusing. Like, I showed this to my dad, and the trailer finished. He goes, "Is that Boba Fett?" Like, no, it's not Boba Fett. Oh, so it's someone else in Boba Fett's armor. No. Who is it then? Is it Jango Fett? No, like, you know what I mean?
But
Like,
that's okay. But isn't it okay for people to have those questions, though? Because those questions can be
I feel
explained.
my point is they should probably do a better job in the trailer, at least somewhat, saying when the show is set and like what the character is potentially.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because like I know when the show's set because I've read I've watched interviews and all these sorts of things. The show's set.
It does open with a bunch of stormtrooper spiked heads, which I guess technically could take place.
You
anytime.
say this, but people watched the Rogue One trailer. Remember back when Rogue One came out, and it was after Episode 7, because everyone assumed that was the next movie that came after Force Awakens, and everyone was watching that going, "Oh, is that Rey's mum?" And there were like stormtroopers and like original, period stuff in that, and people were going like, "Oh, like shut
maybe
up!" Like
Jyn Erso is Rey's mum.
No, that's something.
Maybe she escaped.
They got teleported off the planet just right before.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Star Trek style.
Please,
Beam me up,
Lord,
Scotty.
No, please don't. I am excited for this. I think this trailer, the most recent one that we're talking about for this, is really cool as well, because it has Werner Herzog doing this really cool like VO bit. I presume he's only in the show for like one episode, but he does a really good job at selling the trailer and doing the whole like Mandalorian, they come for you, and all this other stuff. A couple quick tidbits that this trailer confirmed for me that made me really happy, as someone who, like, if you watch Rebels or Clone Wars, obviously you have a better idea what Mandalorians actually are, like what they are within canon Star Wars universe, which is not Boba Fett. Like, Boba Fett isn't a Mandalorian, like, technically he's a clone of one, so it doesn't really help there. But watching this, there's one really cool part. It's easy to miss at the end of the trailer. They do confirm that he'll actually use a jetpack, because in most of the promotional footage and stuff like that, he's never had like a jetpack on or anything like that. But there's a part at the end of this trailer where he's chasing after what's his name? Giano, whatever, from Breaking Bad. He's apparently going to be the main villain. Esposito? Yeah.
Gus.
Gus. Thank you. That's probably just the easiest way to go.
Yeah, it's the easiest one. Gus from Breaking Bad. Yeah.
He's chasing after Gus from Breaking Bad, who in this show is he's still playing like some Empire type person who's kind of trying to hold on to his role and what power he still has left within his position. Because the show's set about 3 years after Jedi. But this show's I think the easiest way to pitch the show and explain how it works is like you picture any country in the world, right? If any country in the world has a change of leadership due to a big drastic uprising or something like that,
A coup.
A coup, yes, or so anything, a coup or anything like that. It's like, do these countries, does everything just suddenly overnight or over a week or even over a month, does suddenly everything just everyone switches over and the people that are left from the other side suddenly just drift away and go away? And the answer is no. Now think about how big the Star Wars galaxy is and how many planets and sectors and whatever you've got across the entire galaxy. Like, as much as you watch the end of the Return of the Jedi and you see it's like the good guys win, it's like realistically think about how much work and how much time and how long the remnants of the Empire tried to hang on to their positions of power, and it does make sense realistically that these people would try and hang on to certain areas. Now, the Mandalorian is going to be apparently set in like the outer region, so obviously the more villainous areas with bounty hunters and these sorts of things, and these are apparently the areas that are still the most kind of contested, with Empire people still hanging out there and so on and so forth. Even the Aftermath book series covered this sort of thing happening. So Gus from Breaking Bad is going to be apparently the main bad guy, and how the Mandalorian gets tangled up with him, we don't know. But there's a shot at the end that made me so happy where he like grapple hooks onto his TIE fighter and he's trying to chase after it. And then to pull himself towards the TIE fighter before he lands on top of it, you see him activate his jetpack and like burst along a little bit. I'm like, good, please, let me see some actually good jetpack action, Mandalorian jetpack action in the show. Because that's kind of what I think Mandalorian, I think blasters, cool helmet design and armor, and jetpacks. So I need that. The number one thing I think that's going to happen in this series, though, so we've got 8 episodes. I think it's the number. It's not 10. I think it is 8.
Yeah.
So I think this show, the first season, is obviously going to be a lot set up and these sorts of things. But I'm hoping by the time we get towards, maybe we get there in the last episode or something like that. But I'm hoping at least by the time we get towards the end of this season, we are heading towards something that kind of Ciaran said before, which is exploring more of actual Mandalorian culture and Mandalore as a planet and these sorts of things. Because we don't actually know what happens to that planet, like post what they've shown us in Rebels. I would put money on, maybe not this season, but definitely from season 2 onwards, I would say that we're going to have some of the characters that were in Rebels, Mandalorian characters in Rebels, show up in this show in live action, which you may be like, that's crazy talk. I don't think so, because they're not like super, obviously they've done it with Forrest Whitaker when they brought over, I'm fucking mental blanking on his fucking name. Paul Gullet. Fuck, what is his name?
Far out. Even I can't remember his name.
I'm completely blanked.
we
on
talking
him. Fuck
about?
all his. I have to remember a million names and you just can't help me out.
Forrest Whitaker's character in Rogue One.
Saw Gerrera?
Yes!
That's it.
Oh
Boom.
my god, my brain died.
Dylan, you are now the Padawan. Ashley, you are the Jedi.
Look, if I ever remember all this stuff, least you can do is help me out when I call out every now and then. Help me out with the one goddamn name. Yeah, so they've done it with Saw Gerrera, and there are a couple other characters. I think one in particular that is brought up is what's the fuck from Battlestar Galactica? You know, the main girl, whose name I'm also meant to blank on, the blonde chick. So say we all. Kate, no. Oh, it's a day, isn't it? It is a day. Hold on, I'm refusing. I cannot move on. Battle
Please
Star
wait
Galactica.
while Dylan Googles
I can't.
the name of this person.
So
He's on his phone.
Katie
He's
Sackhoff.
panicking.
Katie Sackhoff, right? So Katie Sackhoff from Battlestar Galactica and Riddick and that new Netflix show, right? She plays in the Clone Wars. sorry, not Rebels, Clone Wars, Bo-Katan, which is one of the main Mandalorian characters in that. That is a character that's like, you've had a real and quote unquote real actor, and I'm saying that as like does live action, not just voiceover work, is what I mean by that. So it's like you have someone like her who you could very easily just literally put on the armor and stuff and just bring her over to live action. You know what I mean? Like I see zero struggle there. So have that character come over, bring over some other characters, do heaps of exciting things. I don't think that'll happen in the first season because obviously that's too much like connected. You don't want to rush people with
You want to focus
connected.
this first season on The Mandalorian.
Yeah, and introduce the character in the show as its own thing and blah, 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 blah. But I think it would be silly and a complete disservice to call it. I understand that it's like, because we don't know his name, right? The Mandalorian, in quotes. Round table. Will we ever actually know his name in the first season? Ash.
No.
Ciaran.
At the end of the first season.
But at the end or by the end? Like, you reckon last episode?
Like, it'll be like the last couple of scenes, like, it'll be the connector into season 2. Somebody who knows him from Mandalore will rock up. It'll be a big, like, you know, surprise
Jeff.
as they say, hello, Jeffrey. And then they, you know, teases on for the next season.
Fair enough. I could see that happening. Makes sense. Yeah, so then it's like, so another Mandalorian shows up by the end or something like that. And then we learn his name that way. And then we can head off to Mandalore next season and start doing that stuff. But I just think if you're going to call the show The Mandalorian and you're not going to actually explore Mandalorian culture plus planet plus history, these sorts of stuff, I just think it's like, well, just make the show, like if you want to make a bounty hunter show but not actually use the Mandalorian properly, just make some other random person a bounty hunter. You know what I'm saying? It just feels like a waste if you're not going to explore that sort of stuff. And then the one other thing of note, I think in the most recent trailer that everyone's kind of been theorizing around is there is a couple shots at around, for those that playing along at home, it's here somewhere. It's at the basically 1 minute mark, right after it cuts to the November 12th title card and so on and so forth. This stuff here shows a prequel era ship in the sky. Look, I'm forgetting all the words. The bad people, the separatist. That's the word. Separatist era, separatist ship in the sky, and it shows this kid in a red cloak, and then it shows two adults in red uniform cloaks things
So that's
as well.
a flashback.
Yeah, presumably. And then in the background, it shows prequel era battle droids marching in. So this, obviously, some people are like, oh, it could be set current day, and they could just be like battle droids somewhere. No, because I'm like, there's a separatist ship in the sky. So I'm saying that this is obviously a flashback. I think that's
And
the
there are
easiest answer.
absolutely no separatist ships that survived the 20 years since in between.
Well, they rework. Star Wars usually uses ships as one of its like keystones for helping tell what era something takes place in. Throughout all of its canon and movies and whatever else, they always make sure to update and use the ships. And it's like they always make some sort of reason that old ships get rotated out or, you know, no longer exist. And it's because you can kind of tell an era by its ships. And there's no reason to fuck with that. As silly as it is to like be smart assy and sometimes be like, well, surely some of those ships could be around still. It's like, well, yeah, but Star Wars always just makes sure, just play with what they're giving you. So I'm saying and presuming that this would be cool if it's a flashback to Mandalore, potentially. And then the kid is the Mandalorian. And this is the going theory, and I think it's the one that makes the most sense, which is that the kid is the Mandalorian, and we're going to have a flashback to when he's on he's on Mandalore and the Separatists come in and whatever else during the Clone Wars period. And then, you know, everyone's getting shot up and everything goes to shit. So that's how we'll see flashbacks to his life growing up. Because you look at like Pedro Pascal as an actor, it's like if the character's age is going to be roughly around his age as an actor, you know, like time-wise, it does make sense. He's not like a 20-year-old spry person. It's set 3 years after Return of the Jedi. So, like, time-wise, it would make sense if this is a flashback to that. But then it also means that he's lived through the whole, like, prequel era stuff and then also the OG trilogy stuff. So, it'd be a character that's lived through a lot of the the goings on in Star Wars, which would mean there's a lot of interesting history to that character, and potentially he could bump into lots of other interesting characters like Cad Bane. Yeah, bring him in, baby.
I was waiting for how long Cad Bane took to get into this conversation.
Well, all I'm gonna say is if there's one character, one bounty hunter I could have him team up with that they could bring over from the anime series and make into live action, it's Cad Bane, the coolest bounty hunter.
Ventress could make her way over.
Ventress is dead.
No, wait, is she?
Spoilers. Yeah, she died.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
spoilers.
sad.
Remember because when they canceled the Clone Wars, they took a bunch of the scripts and they turned them into they turned some into comic books. They turned one of them into a book called Dark Disciple, which is about Asajj and I can't remember the other Jedi that she basically falls in love with. And spoilers for the end of that book, she dies.
Yikes!
Is that canon?
Yikes!
It's, okay, maybe
Sorry to burst your bubble,
okay. Flashback with Ventress. Yeah,
maybe. For people that don't know, Cad Bane would actually fit very well in this show because Cad Bane is literally the cowboy bounty hunter that they introduced in the Clone Wars animated series. He wears a full-on cowboy hat. He basically has 2 cowboy pistols that he goes with. He talks like a cowboy. He is literally just prime fitting for this show that looks like a Western. Like, he fits perfectly if you want to have a cameo from some sort of bounty hunter. But yeah, any last thoughts about The Mandalorian?
Carbonite.
Oh, you want to talk about the Carbonite? Yeah, okay. Because they do show at the start of the trailer that he has it looks like he's got a bunch of bounties in his ship, which is, I forget the name of. I think it's called like Razorback or something. It's Razor something like that. His ship's got a cool name either way. He has like all these bounties in the back of his ship, and it seems like he's just like offloading them for a payment, I guess. It looks like he's got like 6 plus bounties, and they're all carbonated people, obviously. So it is saying that, yes, Darth Vader could have potentially made the bounty hunting game easier by inventing the technology of carbonite freezing people.
Maybe that's just how they imprison people now.
Maybe.
Don't need to give them a cell or anything. You just stick them in carbonite.
Don't need to feed them. But at the same time, it pauses their life.
Yeah, I guess so. They don't rehabilitate themselves or anything.
They don't rehabilitate, and when you eventually, if you ever do let them out, they're kind of the same age. Like, they haven't paid any time.
It saves space too, because you can just line them all up as concrete slabs.
Everybody in their lives has moved on.
Yeah. That's the biggest takeaway from the trailer. Is Ash is like carbonite freezing.
Like a carbonite nap, you know?
I don't know. Like if there's still like a couple % chance that you could die doing it, probably not. You know? Probably not. Probably won't do it.
There's a couple % chance that you'll die every time you get into a car, but you still get into a car.
Possibly. Also, I feel like it's do you see that other part in the trailer where like he's pulling that dude through the door, and then it's obviously the part we've seen in the previous trailer where he shoots the door and then slices that dude in half. That seems like a very much like, because he has a rope around him, like his lasso or whatever, and he's like trying to pull him back in to the cantina or wherever they are. He's trying to pull him back in. So obviously, I presume it's like a bounty he's after, because like he's trying to pull the dude back inside the place. But then the dude like whips out a pistol and shoots him. And I think it's one of those like, he's probably a bounty that's worth more alive, but also he probably gets paid even if he's dead. But as soon as the dude like whips out and shoots him, the Mandalorian's like, well, fuck you then, and like shoots the door and cuts him in half. He just delivers half the body.
There's also a cool little thing was that during the moment where he like walks out of the door and he starts shooting at the stormtroopers around him, he very visibly gets shot, and it just kind of ricochets off his armor. And I was like, that's a really cool little thing. That's just, you know, it means that a stormtrooper did hit its target. It just bounced off and flew away. Like,
didn't have it on the right settings.
Yep.
Maybe.
Damn.
I got to presume that any stormtroopers still out surviving 3 years or whatever it is post the New Republic taking over would have to be some of the better stormtroopers, surely.
Well, you'd hope so.
That's kind of the other thing I'd presume.
Yeah.
And the last little tidbit, about The Mandalorian is if you would like some more Star Wars podcasts to listen to, now is when we're officially announcing our Star Wars The Mandalorian after show called The Mandalorians. Get it? Because law.
That's even worse.
It doesn't translate to audio.
Wait, get it? Because it's like Mandalorians.
Ian's, yeah.
Dylan, if they didn't get it the first time you said it, they didn't get it the second time. Just drop it.
Like Mandalore in capital,
Oh, no.
and then in
Please stop. Please stop.
Mandalorians. The Mandalorians.
I think this is the proudest I've been at one of the names of the shows.
No more.
It's one of those names that we said as a joke and then was like, nope, that's actually going to be the name. It's too funny. So that's here's the official announcement. We'll put up, of course, something on Twitter and so on and so forth when it's officially up, and you can subscribe to it on all the things and whatever else. It'll be on YouTube and whatever. So look for all the links there when they're all up, because they're not up quite yet. But because the show's out on 19th in Australia, it's probably going to work like this, because two episodes are going to be out when it launches. So I think we're going to try and do like a watch the first episode, record something after that, and then watch the second episode, then record something, and then we're up to date. Because then it'll be week by week by week, because it releases weekly, not all at once. In case anyone didn't know that, Disney Plus shows aren't Netflix. They don't all drop at one time. So we just have to watch 2 episodes, catch up to date, and then we'll be doing the show weekly from then on out. There's your information dump. Good job,
Good.
everyone.
Feel educated, everyone.
Good.
Yeah.
Feel
educated. I hope you feel good.
The
That's it for
Mandalorians.
Mandalorians. That's
hate
it for
you.
this week's episode of Alderaan Explosion. Next week on the show, we will be discussing Return of the Jedi, the last of the original trilogy, of course. So make sure you watch the movie before then. Please share the show on social media and tag @ExplosionPod if you're enjoying it. Tell your friends and rate it on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser. Alderaan Explosion is a Darth production. Oh, hold a pause. In what world where I have the outro as this is a Darth production do I not name the show The Mandalorians? Come the fuck on. This is a Darth production of ExplosionNetwork.com, which is where you can also find What Do You Want to Watch, our fortnightly movie and TV podcast. You can follow me on Twitter @VivaLadil, VIVALADIL. You can follow Ciaran on Twitter @YaBoyRingo, and you can follow Ashley on Twitter @AshleyHobby, ASHLEYHOBLEY. May the force be with you always. Do. I'm loving it, Big Mac.
The Mandalorians.